Hi, my name is Sarah Infield, and the new student dialogue that I attended was a dialogue on body image. I was actually really surprised about the dialogue because going in, I figured that if it was on body image, it was going to be a dialogue about being insecure about yourself or like bulimia, anorexia, all that sort of thing. But actually, it was more of a dialogue on body image and like say tattoos, piercings, things like that make us judge other people and we don't realize that we're making assumptions about people before we actually meet them, which is something that I find um really apparent, especially like at Clemson or like at any college really, because walking around campus, you don't know any of these people, yet you're walking around and you're judging them. You're making assumptions about them based on the way they look. Because it's really hard to meet everyone, especially at a big school like Clemson. So the student dialogue really helped to like maybe set into focus the fact that we do make assumptions and that they're not always correct. Um, and it was really interesting to me, especially because like we went around the room and we had to say like our name, where we're from, our major, like the generic stuff, but then we also had to say something about ourselves. And whenever everyone shared something about themselves, it was interesting because it was stuff that you would never expect out of like the person. You wouldn't assume that they were, well, some you could assume that yes, it was true, but others you were like, oh, well, I would never have guessed that that girl played soccer. She looks like she would be a cheerleader, sort of thing. So it was really interesting. Um, there were a lot of active voices in our dialogue, and there were some maybe shy people, but it was interesting because there were enough active voices to where you could hear different opinions from a lot of different people. So that was really good. And a lot of people shared the same opinions and some people had completely different opinions, so that was cool also. Um the leaders of our dialogue were one was very outgoing and one was very shy, so they kind of they're like the two of them together, it worked. And at first our group as a whole was like, it was really hard to get us to like speak up and to talk out, and then one of the leaders was like, okay guys, like you need to talk. So then we finally got going, and people really started to share like what they thought, and like girls were talking about how they're in sororities, so like people expect them to dress as a sorority girl or expect them to follow the um maybe the stereotypes of their particular sorority. And a lot of girls were like, I don't agree with that. Like, that's not cool. Just because I'm in a sorority, I can't wear like my big t-shirt and like exercise shorts. And I was like, I'm in a sorority, so something that I could definitely agree with. Like, just because we're in a certain sorority and we picked that sorority because we felt like we fit in most with that one, it doesn't necessarily mean that the stereotypes that are involved in that sorority are stereotypes that apply to us. So that was really interesting to like hear that from another person's perspective and be like, oh yeah, I totally agree with that. Um, I think that the dialogue was a useful thing for Library 100 because not only did you like get to meet a couple new people that like you'll see around campus now and be like, hey, I know you from student dialogue, but you also got to like share how you were feeling, especially after the first couple weeks of college. It's like it's such a new experience, and you're not used to any of this, and then you're coming and you're having to be immersed in this new like culture, and it's like totally unexpected, but it's good. So like you got to share your feelings about that, and you got to see how other people were like um, maybe adjusting to the same culture shock as you. So that was really interesting. Um, And I think that our group did achieve a true dialogue. There's at the beginning of our dialogue, we were talking about the differences between a debate and a dialogue, and say a presentation. And debate, you're kind of arguing your side. You're saying, no, my opinion's right in comparison to yours, and you're like finding facts to back it up. Presentation, you're just kind of listening to someone talk and like about information. But a dialogue, you share your feelings, and then you have people that connect to your feelings, and then it becomes one huge conversation, and it's actually really personal. So it's a lot more comfortable. You feel a lot more comfortable to share all your feelings. But overall, I thought that the dialogue was a really good experience, and I'm definitely glad I chose the one on body image, and I'm also definitely glad that our instructors chose to go the route of making assumptions about people rather than actually like having to talk about like body image in itself and like what you thought body image was, which I thought would get a little uncomfortable at times. So I'm really glad that they chose to go that other route. And I think that student dialogue is definitely something that should stay as a part of Library 100. But I would also say that I think that when you're showing the different student dialogues that can be chosen, like the list, you should have a more in-depth introduction to what the dialogue is talking about. That would be really helpful. But other than that, it was a great experience. Thanks.